Yeah, I just jumped on and I just want to have a conversation tonight with you guys. A little bit about entertainment and whatnot. Nothing's really structured, so we'll see where it goes tonight. But first, you could reach us on dontletthemburn.com. You could also check us out on Teespring. There we go. That's our God Save America shirt, right? And it's doing some good numbers. This is to help us get equipment and also to pretty much help to finish our documentary. So if you want to, you can get this. And we have a couple more things on the store. In fact, I have a white version of the God Save America shirt. Might do a black, white, and red one as well. So you have the Don't Let Them Burn shirt. You got the Don't Burn mug. You got the Righteous Bowl, and a bunch of other stuff that I just uploaded, but it's not gonna upload. I mean, show you here because something is up with Teespring where the rest of the products aren't loading right. So I'm trying to get rid of some of these from featuring, but it's what it is. Technical issue, but just go to the store and see if you like anything there. We have the God is Holy. That one was popular last year. So there you have it. So yes, Chris from Don't Let Them Burn. And you could also check us out on become a patron. I might start a subscribe star. I'm working on two little projects that I can't necessarily announce yet, but soon. So I'm going to start a subscribe star. You can subscribe there, and we'll put out some extra videos or whatnot. So as soon as I do that, I'll let you know. And I can't wait to let you guys know what we're working on outside of the alien deception. And also follow my Hurricane 7 channel for music that I record. Hurricane 7. And the song is Genetic Apocalypse. It's on this channel as well, but I'm going to try my best to keep them separate, so to speak. So today, got some friends with me, Danny and Dave. How you guys doing? Man, let me see. I forgot to unmute you. Go ahead.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Doing great. Let me see what's going on in the chat if we even have anybody in there yet.
Who joined us? I know you surprised them. You kind of jumped on.
Yeah, just jumping on today.
So I'm David Paxton from thehiddenday.com. And we got Danny, who's one of my best friends, and we do Danny's Corner together, too.
Yeah. Tell them about the upcoming conference.
Oh, how did you hear about that, Chris? Oh, wait a minute.
Right there.
We are here. So we found a terrific brother who is mask averse as well as shot averse. So we're on the same page, and he offered his church, Harvest Revival Center, for us to do in-person conferences. All about the word. So we work with Pastor Mike Spalding from the Transforming Word and Go Therefore Conferences. And GoThereforeConference.com is where you can find tickets to the next one, which is the weekend of July 23rd of this year. So it's about a month. And we're preparing here. We're here at the church. They're doing a terrific renovation. We're going to have everything ready for the event. Number of prophecy teachers and regular teachers. Jamie Walden will be there, and we also have me. You have Pastor Mike Spalding. Who else is coming? Oh, Dr. Michael Lake is going to be there. Carl Gallups, Casper McLeod is going to sing. That's going to be awesome. And I'm really tired because we've been putting sheetrock up and stuff all day. So just bear with me if I forget some people. But we're rebuilding it. This is it, Harvest Revival Center in Brookville, Ohio. You can get tickets at GoThereforeConference.com. And it's going to be Doc Jen is going to be there, too, from Warrior Wellness. You're going to love Doc Jen.
All right. So this melon thing is on I paid for this to be gone. It's still there. So anyway, this melon logo in the live.
Well, we'll deal with it.
Yeah, we'll deal with it. Whatever, right? Shout out to Letitia for supporting us through the live chat here, the super chat. Anybody else jumps in? Not too many people right now, but if you have a question, put it in the super chat. Please support us in that way. So we got a lot going on in entertainment, in the world, and whatnot. Some things we'll talk about, something we'll just avoid. But
Can we avoid the magnetic skin?
Yeah.
boy, the magnetic skin, a big issue out there, right? Yeah, we'll avoid that for now. For now.
Just for now. I just have to. My brain's full of magnetic skin right now.
Yeah, jab, jab.
Mhm.
So, so I watch a couple of streaming programs, even though I really only have a subscription to HBO Max because I wanted to watch the Justice League and see what that was all about. Even though we kind of knew already, because the original version came out, the what they call the Whedon cut. But I don't have any other subscriptions. I don't have cable. Some people let me access their account to watch some of these streaming platforms. So we had the Falcon and the Winter Soldier come out a few weeks ago, and we also had WandaVision. I think I might have covered it on the last broadcast, but I think we might get some different insight from Danny here. But I don't want to leave Dave out, so Dave, I don't want Dave staring at the camera.
Look, I'm even wearing like a sci-fi shirt for you. It's great.
Yeah, these programs, it's not like the subject matter in them are anything new, right? But it's coming along more blatant now.
I say more blatant, and they're putting chocolate on top to make everybody eat it.
Oh yeah. We were talking today at my church, and we were talking about God's omnipresence, omniscience, and all the attributes of God. How He's everywhere, He sees everything, He knows everything. He's just, you can't get away from Him. And so Marvel has this movie coming out called The Eternals, and I was like, yeah, right. God.
According to the Book of Jubilees, they were created on day one. I don't know how that's eternal.
Right.
If they're within the time-space continuum.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So Jack Kirby is the one that he started the New Gods in DC, and then he went from there to Marvel and created the Eternals. They're basically the same group of people. Some of them are siphoned off from names of biblical stuff, and other ones are actual names of pagan gods. When I first heard about this stuff, I didn't really believe it. I was into my superheroes and whatnot. I was disconnected somewhat from the movies because I found out how weird they were, and that's what I covered in the last program through the documentaries that I recommended. But at the same time, I didn't realize that a lot of these superheroes and stuff were connected to pagan gods. So I was like, oh, yeah, right.
You know what? Like along those lines, when I first heard the term superheroes, I thought it was like a lunch place. I can get soup or heroes. So I went over there. I'm like, where's the soup?
That's Dave. That's Dave. He's going to always hit you with something weird, right? Yeah. And then I watched one teacher, and he was talking about, the days of Noah and the antediluvian world. This is when I just started to catch on to all this stuff and where the term hero came from.
Yeah.
The gold and
different than what we attribute it to today.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, definitely. So finding out all that stuff, finding out all the stuff that some of these superstars, and it's not a whole bunch of them that we know of anyway. Some of them say, oh, I go on demon rides. Some of them talk about being possessed when they do these movies, right? And there's a thing out there called method acting, and it's pretty much you go deep into your character, and sometimes that could turn into something else. I don't have 100% proof that it happens, But
Yeah.
based on what I've heard, some of these guys do get involved with some spirits, right?
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, I've done not an extensive amount, but some acting, and I had to dig deep to find a place in my heart where I had to cry, or when I was excited about something. So I can imagine these guys, if they're sold out to the industry, would even succumb to bigger, more powerful forces to get those real emotions across, and I can see them selling out.
Right. Go ahead, Danny.
I'm gonna say it's easy if you go down an emotional lane to open a doorway.
Yeah.
You're inviting them in
Yeah.
when you get into that emotion.
And you do the altered reality thing. Damn, I'm missing the term right now. I mentioned it last time as well. You can dance or you can drink.
Alternative reality.
Sorry, I'm blanking on that one, but it'll come up again.
That's right.
Anyway.
That's what live shows are for.
That's right.
So, Danny,
Yes.
you've heard of I think it's Warner Brothers want to come out with a Black Superman.
Yes.
All right.
And not just the Black Superman. And actually, they have come up with it before in the comics. But what they're doing this time is they're making Clark Kent. They're not going to the other character. They're going to make Superman the Superman that's
the original.
Kent. Yeah, the original. And only Black actor director as well.
Yeah. And let me explain that for people. They had 3 iterations. One you saw with Shaq in that movie Steel. I can't remember the character's name, but the movie was called Steel. And that was fine. No one cares if he's black or not, right? Then you have another iteration. I can't remember his name either, but I'll bring up the pictures in a second. And then you have the one called Kal-El, not Kal-El, Kal-El. All right. He was made by Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison is the one that's on record saying he contacts spirits. They tell him what to put in the comic books. So why am I bringing him up? Why is it so important? Because he has made a lot of comic books that are weird. In one of them, the character was him. The character got sick in the comic book, and in real life, he got sick as well. You just go watch his documentary. You see, his name is Grant Morrison. And so anyway, this Kal-El, he is actually Barack Obama.
Oh.
Right. And he had Brainiac as his supercomputer. So at the time, Barack Obama was president, and they did this whole comic book on him. I never read it, but I know that's the subject matter. So for them to just jump over all 3 iterations to now make Clark Kent the Superman, it's weird. Yeah. And a lot of people online are talking about it. And it's not really about the color of his skin. It's about you're changing the origin of the mainstay is Superman, right?
And trying to make it think that's how it started.
Right, and you know what they're gonna do because I can't remember the name of the writer right now, but he is known for doing racially charged race baiting in his writings, and so you're gonna bring this on. You're gonna bring in I gotta go around the algorithms. A person that looks like me, director, right? But they're not doing it because he's very talented. They're doing it just because he's black.
Yeah, they got to fill the quota.
Yeah. So I would say just watch what happens with this movie. It'll probably be a whole, he touched down in whatever timeline they're going to put him in, and because he's black, he's going to have racial tension and
Yeah,
you know how it goes already. So a lot of that.
What he's going to eat?
Huh?
I wonder what he's going to eat.
Hey, fried chicken, I guess.
I find it funny that all these companies do all this politically correct things because the movies don't necessarily do well. Look like when Ghostbusters did the all-woman cast.
Mm-hmm.
That movie did not do well at all.
Yeah.
but they still pushed it.
Come up with new characters that promote it, and you'll probably do better instead of rewriting a character that's existed forever.
That's just dumb. Leave the characters alone. Go make new ones, and it would be like, hey, that guy's really cool in his own right.
Yeah,
you know.
Right.
The reason why Black Panther worked so well is because he already existed.
Yeah.
It's not because he was black. It's because he had already existed as a character. They had the foundation to build on versus just changing everything around because it's a social justice world.
Right. Absolutely. I'm going to get back to that point in a second. Let me just show the audience the actual people that we're talking about here. And this is the one that's Barack Obama. He was on Earth 3.
Okay.
There's a couple more. I think this is the other one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think this is the other one. And then, of course, like I said, you have the Shaquille O'Neal version. And no one cared about that. It's just whatever, you know?
Yeah.
You're right. They always mess up by taking an original concept because they can't make up their own concept because it always fails. Just like in the sorry, let me set this thing up different here. I'm over here showing the wrong thing. Anyway, they mess up by taking. Okay, the way I see it, it's erasing history in a sense.
Yeah,
that's Marxist. Yeah. So let's change history and give them what we think they need or what we think they must have or want. And from what I'm seeing in the secular community, in the comic base or whatever, no one really wants it except for some people that are like, you know, if they make a good story, I'm all in, whatever. I personally don't care for it. But on a deeper level, you know, Superman is supposedly the allegory or representation of Jesus Christ. But is really an antichrist, to tell you the truth, you know?
Yeah.
A fake one.
And they really play that up in the Justice League movie, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, we can go deep into that one. You know, but let's hold off on that for a second.
Yeah.
The whole thing about Kal-El is he comes from a secret place, the Krypton, the hidden planet, and his father is, you know, El, and you can interpret that in two ways. But it's obvious. You know, he was made by two Jewish kids, and so they would have this messianic figure, but they're not going to call him Jesus, of course, right? So the Superman is the epitome of evolution, the evolutionary storyline, which is in a lot of these comic books, goes into the Superman issue, and what you see people planning in the background in genetics and all this stuff with super soldiers and all these other things we could talk about. It always leads to a Homo superior, which goes into the X-Men. Yeah,
Magneto. The Superman type, that's kind of what they were trying to do with Captain America too, make a super soldier, a Superman.
Right. Yeah, and you know, like I said, I'm trying not to go off too much into the genetics right now, but it's there. People don't realize that. You know, I heard people talking about Hobbs and Shaw and how that movie was so ridiculous. Yes, it was, but the fact that super soldiers are being genetically made right now, it's a fact. Look it up on the internet. It's not some conspiracy theory. It makes the movie not ridiculous for me. When I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's what they're building, you know? Call of Duty, the video game, for people that don't know, has painkillers in there that makes you a super soldier. You know, I mean, it's a video game, yes, but they draw a lot of this influence from reality. Go ahead.
It's crazy what they're doing and how it's subliminal. A lot of this is you're not meant to pick up directly. It's your mind in the background is picking this up and equating things.
Right. Yeah.
Even though it's right out in front of you.
And for people that don't know this channel and you're just tuning in and whatnot, we're not legalistic. We're not telling you what to watch, when to watch it, how to watch it. We're just pointing things.
I mean, I watch the stuff.
You know? Yeah, it's like, hey, I have to watch some of this stuff to break it apart anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to be legalistic.
No, you don't.
No?
You don't.
All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do it.
We live in a fallen world, and these are the things that are in this world, and we just have to decide what to watch and what not to watch. Porn is obvious. It's obvious,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that's destroying a lot of the church because so many men are addicted to it. But when it comes to the superhero stuff, it's really more if you're giving your time, talents, and treasure to them, and pretty much ignoring God. If you're saved. If you're not saved, it doesn't really matter. You have to get saved anyway. It's like whatever you're doing, part of the devil's system.
Do whatever you want here because the lake of fire is next.
Yeah. So, did you watch WandaVision?
I did.
And
it was a good show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's setting up for Doctor Strange and the second Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
A lot of that because she's the Scarlet Witch. They finally name her that.
Right.
And she was able to create her own inner sanctum to keep her mind safe because she lost vision.
Mm-hmm. There was a music video that came out by a guy named Lil Nas.
Mm-hmm.
And in that video, he's having sodomite sex with the devil. Right?
Oh, yeah. And then he sells the sneakers with the blood in it.
Yeah.
Now, there's a reason I'm bringing this up compared to WandaVision.
Yeah.
So in there, he has the garden and everything beautiful, and he does this crazy stuff. But by the end of the video, or near the end, he goes to hell and lap dances with the devil. But by the end of everything, he pretty much takes the devil's throne and puts his crown on. And that's kind of the same story told in WandaVision. Kind of.
Yeah.
Not totally.
Yeah, you're right.
She gets the crown.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that you see throughout history. What men and women try to do is they try to become this either God or satanic being, It's very fascinating. But she's playing with chaos magic, which I think I explained last time. The yin, the yang, and all this other stuff. But chaos magic is really where you can will or think these things into existence. So out of our trauma, this chaotic world was made. This kind of matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this matrix where it was pretty much. She had babies that weren't real.
Yeah.
Right? And she was.
Now what about Shiva? Does that too? Who's the other one? Shiva and what? The Indian god. He creates a chaos, so the other one could create order out of chaos. Indian god.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, someone put it in the chat. Who was the other one?
I forgot.
The Indian one.
You have Brahma.
Yeah, I think that's
Brahma.
it.
You might be right. Yeah, Brahma.
Yeah. So it does come from these weird religions. So it's
that's where Doctor Strange comes from. If you watch the Doctor Strange movie, it's Eastern mysticism,
right?
That brings him his power, and then WandaVision, which links up to Doctor Strange, and I remember the Universe of Madness, where they start going through the different, and there's different portals and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's.
So I think they hijacked
timely.
that too. Yeah.
It's timely.
Yeah.
In Revelation 4:1, it says immediately John was up in heaven. He saw a door open in heaven, but the word is portal. Mm-hmm. So they're hijacking the whole portal thing too.
Mm-hmm.
From God.
You know how
it's God's portal. Leave him alone.
You know how some of us are scared of the dark, or we had a nightmare. We think that we turn on the lights. Like these things are afraid of the light. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Operate.
Like, oh, great, a light bulb.
Yeah.
Now what?
So if you want a portal, you know, they come in anytime they want to, especially if you invite them.
Yep.
You know, so they don't need you to summon them to a spell like the witches do. They're just playing games with them is what I'm trying to say. So with the culture moving towards more witchcraft, it's like one of the fastest growing religions in America. I think in the world, because a lot of us have lost the sense of the Judeo-Christian values. So they're moving towards paganism, and here comes these movies that promote paganism.
Yep.
Big time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that too. This setup was coming because the devil knows his time is short, and he started really pushing this. With Darwin, he's got to get society to believe that we just kind of accidentally showed up. So we don't recognize when the devil comes because there's no devil. We're just natural, and now it's really short his time. The rapture is imminent. And so now he's ramping these things up because he's got to play those cards. And he was commissioned to play those cards, and here they come.
Right. And we're trying to make the show about superheroes, but you remember
it all links together.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
They're stealing all that stuff. He knows it's short, so he let's tell the superheroes because the superheroes are pretending to be who they're not, and we know they're all Nephilim.
Right. The TV show Heroes. Remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do any of you remember how that TV show started out? Do you remember the narration? The pilot?
No.
To sum it up, the guy that was narrating it was Hindu, and he used an allegory of insect, and pretty much he said that God is a cockroach.
Oh, man.
Now, see,
is he as big as the one that was in the park down the street from me, Corona Park in Queens?
Hey, I just found that because what happened is Heroes was on TV, and I would catch it every now and then. We started watching it, so I never caught the pilot. Right, so I went back. I said, let me see, and then he said that, and I said, oh, I can't watch no more of this. They started questioning God, right? Yeah. And by the I think the last season you had a guy on there that could, or a guy or girl that could pretty much manifest anything, flowers, whatever. And so there's always these godlike abilities.
Yep.
Heroes Were Born was garbage, but what I'm showing you, the culture is moving towards all of this stuff, but Hollywood helps the culture move. And think about it. If Hollywood and the church, well, the church has to do a job first because then it affects the culture. But Hollywood was promoting the values they promoted, say back in the 30s or whatnot, the 50s, it would be a different landscape, right? Not to say that everybody was holy, but the culture was totally different. And by the 70s, when we had the revolution, the sexual revolution, and all this stuff came in with the yogis and all this stuff,
little by little,
the amount of crime, sexual activity, premarital sex, you name it, all went up like a hockey stick.
Yep.
And so most people didn't realize what was going on then because they weren't listening to the people that were writing the books and all this stuff, telling them what was going on. But then by the time MTV came around, we thought that was a radical shift. It was, but that before in the 70s was more radical. They were just coming off of that. And so that's the introduction of a lot of stuff. But until the superhero movies and TV shows really took hold, you didn't see a lot of the occult stuff. You did in the movie Elektra, which came off of Daredevil.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you didn't see a lot of that, right?
No, you're right.
So
and with comic movies, it took to the proper time for them to start kicking in properly. Because Marvel tried to put movies out for years,
right,
and they were always bad. The first Fantastic Four, if you look that up, they look awful.
yeah,
Awful.
it's terrible.
It wasn't the right time.
Right. And also to go into a little rabbit trail here, Aleister Crowley, I don't want to say predicted, but he knew the age of the Superman were coming, and he died at the golden age of comics. So he kind of like before the golden age, and he saw it coming, but he died before he saw the fruition. Because he was speaking to spirits that were giving him information, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not here saying all comic books are evil and all this stuff. We're not legalistic. The point is, what we're saying is true, and especially if you go do the research. There was a time when comics were banned. Do you see the television, the streaming show called The Boys?
No.
I don't recommend it. It's
Okay.
But that sort of show is a reflection of the comic books back then. I think that was the Silver Age, that were becoming very violent, very occultish and whatnot. The comic books got banned for the different reasons, but that was one of them. When I say comic books, I mean those type of comic books.
Yeah.
So the regular ones kept going, and then you started seeing a resurfacing of those really bad ones back in I was born in 72, so back in the early 70s, and in the 80s got a little bit more. So by the time the 90s hit, where X-Men has exploded into popularity and all this stuff, you saw these underground comics. I would buy a few. Conan was very violent comic, you know. But they're worse than that. There were worse comics than that, and I didn't pick those up. So now you're seeing what people are calling cutting edge TV shows. They're pushing the envelope of more gore, more sex, more occult stuff. And watch what's going to happen with Marvel. I can tell you what's going to happen already. You're going to see more wokeness. You're going to see more sodomite activity, and obviously more occult stuff.
I mean, that's coming with if you look, you got the Loki TV show, Doctor Strange movie, the Shang-Chi.
Yes,
you're getting a lot of the Eternals thing, a lot of this new phase, Ant-Man with the portals thing, a lot of the quantum realm, a lot of this new stuff is moving more towards that versus the characters here on Earth just forming together to save an invasion from space.
Right, and that has biblical premise as well, because when Jesus returned, the world are going to turn their weapons against him. And from what we know that's coming down the pike and is actually already here, transhumanism, who's to say, I can't say thus say the Lord, but who's to say that some of those humans at that time are not going to be jacked up on some...
100%.
Right? So you see, it's always some alien invasion, some godlike being over and over again.
Yeah.
So that now you have the Eternals coming out. And like I said, we talked about this earlier, but what are these guys? They're supposed to be like godlike beings, right? You have
in the days of Noah. Here we go.
One of them, Black Bolt, right?
Black Bolt.
He can't speak.
Right.
If he were to speak, he would destroy the world, the universe.
Yeah, his voice is pretty much like a god. Now, to explain for the people that don't know, you have the Celestials. The Celestials are the ones that quote unquote seeded the planets. That's called panspermia, right? So from the Celestials, I believe right after that you have two factions, and they got together and they made the Eternals. And then from them come the Deviants. The Deviants is where Thanos comes from. So you have all these little family trees, and then it comes down to humanity. And they even have comic books about this stuff. where the seed of the celestials is, because it's going along an evolutionary path.
Mm-hmm.
The celestials germinated in mankind, and that's where you got the giants in the flood, and the flood happened, and then after that you had the Thors and the Hercules and all that stuff, and then it got suppressed and it germinated again, then it got suppressed again and it germinated in modern times, and that's where you get the superheroes from. So they're saying the seed of the celestials are borning superheroes, right? And when you go, they're pretty much saying the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, the video game Halo,
Yeah.
they I can't remember the name of the movie. They came out with a animation movie where they told the same exact story I told but from the Halo angle. These otherworldly beings created something, and they went across the galaxy to pretty much take the specimens of life from each planet. And since this thing called the flood was decimating the galaxy, they made the Halo rings to wipe out the flood. But wiping out the flood would wipe out all life. So they had to get these seeds. And so after they did that, they came and they seeded the planets. Panspermia again, right? It's crazy stuff. So
yeah, that was Star Trek had that episode too, that they went way back in time and they saw this freaky looking alien thing saying, "Oh, I'm the mother of all of you." You know, and you had the Klingons there and the Romulans and the Vulcans and everybody. They were all there saying, "Oh, wow." You know?
Yeah, that's also in the Prometheus.
Yeah.
So you have these creatures from a planet that's kind of like what we would perceive as heaven, and the AI, the super AI, goes up there because he knows where their seeding came from, and goes up there and destroys all of them and starts his own creation.
Oh,
this is weird stuff, bro.
Well, what else are you gonna do on a Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, but you know, once you start digging into the world religions and some of the stuff taught in the occult, this becomes clear as day what's happening in our world. And again, we live in a fallen world that needs a savior. But now today, instead of looking at Jesus Christ, we're looking to these superheroes to be our how you call it, influence, our father figures and other stuff. Now again, we watch some new movies. But we see where it's going, and some of the stuff that we know came out of the occult, we didn't realize it because we're too young to even know that stuff. And now, just reading forget the occult books, just reading the Bible and understanding what the name of the gods were, you get a real good perspective on things, and why Israel turned to some of these gods instead of bowing to who they knew was God.
Yeah.
Right? And he had to them over and over, "I am God, there's none like me." Period. And it happened over and over and over and over again in the Bible, even with the kings of Israel. Right?
Yeah, we didn't listen.
It was crazy. Even Solomon. Right? And so I encourage anybody out there, Christian or not, read the Bible. You'll find a lot of insight into why the world went crazy, how a perfect, not perfect people, but a perfect people group that he created to be his. When I say perfect, I don't mean sinless. Don't get me wrong. That was the apple of his eye, and they kept going back and forth, worshiping demons, not worshiping demons. He always had a remnant that would stay faithful to him. And Old Testament shuts off in the sense of 400 years of silence. The Hellenistic religion, Hellenistic meaning the Greeks, almost wiped out what we knew as I guess you might want to call it Judaism, but it almost wiped all of that out.
Yeah.
Till the Maccabees rose up. and fought for the preservation of the Jewish community. Anyway, so then Jesus comes, and this is the first time we really start hearing about demons possessing people.
Mm-hmm.
He brings some real issues to light when he's casting out demons, healing the sick, and all of the great things he did, because he came as God, but people didn't believe until they started seeing the miracles, the stuff that they couldn't do.
Yeah.
How do you cast this one out? Mm-hmm.
The Savior of the world became one of us forever, wrapped in human flesh, got a new body when he ascended. And so now he pushes us out there to preach the gospel. And we're in a world, because we're still babies, and we're just here for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. We're just babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we see today, we're shocked at, but it's nothing new.
That's right, Solomon. Nothing new under the sun.
Yeah,
and that was 3,000 years ago. There was nothing new.
Yeah.
Imagine now.
Repackaged stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm going to do a couple other shows on this sort of topic, but I think it's kind of imperative now for people to understand what's being put in front of them. I'll give you one that a lot of people get offended at right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's more like this. You don't have to be an expert in all this.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to recognize, hey, they're doing this. They're trying to pretend that they're superheroes when they're really the same fallen angels and, the Nephilim that appeared before the flood. And they're just trying to pretend their way back. If you can grab that concept and then recognize when these shows come out, oh, I get it now. You can steer away from them. It's like, shining a big flashlight and saying, oh, now I can see that. You don't have to be an expert in these fields, though. That's what Chris is for.
Yeah. And you steer away from them, but you could also watch them, but you know where it's coming from then. So you can still get some of the stuff's entertaining, even though it's pushing a narrative that subliminally is hitting people.
It has to be entertaining so that people watch it. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Entertaining. Some of them I would say, I don't want to tell you what to do, but some of them I would definitely not recommend you watch, because it's not just these little issues here; it's bigger issues as well.
Well, yeah.
Like say The Boys, even though it's ultra violent, I don't recommend that stuff. We're not supposed to be, there's a character in there, just like a Superman, Captain America, like in one. Highlander, that's his name, Highlander. And he pretty much, in season one, there was this sort of pseudo Christian girl, and she had superpowers, and they went to this Christian concert, and it's sort of like a mixture of a cult and a church, a modern church.
Okay.
So Highlander's there, and in one part he gets up on stage and gives this speech and starts talking whatever, and he pretty much puts his hand out and starts floating towards the camera, pretty much presenting himself like he's Jesus.
Oh.
Blasphemy. Right?
Yeah.
And
I read about that somewhere. Matthew, I think, and Luke. Oh, and John, and Mark. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. So the one that people get offended by is I'm going to point out a character that everybody loves, right? So it's Yoda. When you do a little research, you're gonna find out he's more akin to who's called Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles, other people call him Mephisto. Mephisto is the devil.
Yep.
And you got Trans-Siberian Orchestra sings the Beethoven Mephistopheles.
Yeah, huh.
That's a good song, though. But if you listen to that song, you'll understand where he's coming from.
Well, but you're serious.
Yes.
You throw these little jokes out sometimes.
No, that's a real one. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, when they had Beethoven's.
Okay.
Yeah, their Beethoven album. Yeah.
All right. And Mephistopheles, he has many other names. Baal, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Well, when the Mandalorian comes out, the little kid is not, it's not Yoda, but everybody starts saying Baby Yoda. But some of the symbolism, I mean, you know, you could argue. You might say I'm just stupid. I don't know what you're going to say, but black eyes usually have something to do with possession. He's a baby form of Mephistopheles. He's not Yoda, and in fact, Yoda is one of the Freemasonry iterations of one of their gods.
Yeah. And you could see it. You could actually look, if you do some research, there is images of what they design. He looks like the Yoda that you see in the movies.
Short.
Yeah.
You know what's particularly they just something in my mind. Dave, I don't know if you know what scripture this is in, but when I think it's in is it Isaiah? When God says, pretty much he was talking to the devil, when people see you, they're gonna be like, is that this the guy that?
Yeah, that little twerp. Yeah.
You're the one that's been messing up all the nations, and this guy?
Yeah.
You know? So what if he turns out to be this little thing, this little creature? It'll be God had already declared. He didn't say he's going to be little, but we're going to be amazed that it's this guy that's been doing it all along. So that's one of the characters that people will get offended by if you call it out of what it truly is. And again, I'm not saying
that's my favorite Star Wars character, but I won't be offended. Don't worry, because I know the reality.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, Star Wars is pretty much this. At its bare bones, this is what it is. It's a faction of witches fighting against another faction of witches. Black magic, white magic.
Yeah,
simple. They use the crystals.
Are you a good witch?
It's all just magic.
Pretty much. So
not a witch at all. Isaiah 14:16.
Here's the irony, though. Many people will, Harry Potter is evil and it's two factions of witches, but Star Wars is too.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
So people get mad at that or whatever, but the biggest thing is, rather than getting offended, find out if what I'm saying is true. And if it's true, then you have something to deal with. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And, God's word. Exactly. In fact, Dave, I'm gonna have you be my scripture pull-up guy tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
It was Isaiah 14:16, the first one.
Isaiah 14:16?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
You also have where the Bible says witchcraft is of the devil. Find that one for me.
And the word used for witchcraft is, this is a convenient thing.
Are you talking?
Pharmakia.
Is it the same context in both places? If you know, I know Revelation.
Yeah.
All right. Wait. Rephrase your question.
The passage says witchcraft is of the devil.
Oh, well, this rebellion is as witchcraft as well.
Right, but I want to go to that other one first.
Okay,
because it's very important that we put some context to this stuff. It's not just we're gonna call out everything evil and we pay too much attention to this stuff and blah blah blah. That the stuff that people say,
Yeah.
God didn't put me on this mission for nothing. I'm gonna tell you, I could just be a regular designer doing whatever I do, not in a public stream anywhere. I'll be fine. But he put into my heart to talk about these things without putting a hammer over people's heads.
Yeah.
And that's what people are used to, though. They're used to people coming at them a certain way and not being rational about it. You can't shoot somebody into heaven. You can't beat them over the head and expect them to respect you. So I just put certain things out in a respectful way and just say, this is what it is. I mean, listen, when you find that the artists themselves, the writers themselves admit some of this stuff. How can you argue against it?
That's right.
You remember Devil Dinosaur, right?
Yes, I do.
That's by Jack Kirby. For those that don't know, it's a comic book. He admitted that the devil dinosaur. Devil dinosaur. The devil was the Nakash. He's said to be like a serpentine type cherubim.
Yeah.
So it's no coincidence that he's the devil dinosaur. It's a lizard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Jack Kirby made him the hero. So you see this Gnostic form of storytelling a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For those that don't know what Gnosticism is, it's pretty much like the Kabbalah, where they turn everything on its head. So God would be evil, and the devil would be good guy, the illuminator.
His name Lucifer literally means light bearer, and so therefore he's light.
Right. So
And he got a bad rap.
Yeah, bad rap. That's
absolutely.
Chris, are you thinking of John 8:44 says, "You are of your father, the devil"?
No, not that. You know what? This verse is highlighted.
He was a murderer from the beginning.
Let me see. It's highlighted in the KJV, so it might be a different translation going in there. Is of the devil.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one. He says he was a murderer from the beginning, does not stand in the truth because there's no truth in him. Whenever he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own nature, or he is a liar and the father of lies.
Right. I don't disagree, because that's what the word says, but there's a certain passage.
So you're looking for something that says rebellion is like Satan's deal?
No, it's specifically talking about witchcraft.
Oh, well, they repented not. You're thinking about Revelation, where they repented not of their sorceries.
No, my friend. It's
All right. All right. Share your brain with me.
I wish I could find it right now. So I don't like awkward moments of silence. I mean, even Exodus had stuff about suffering a witch.
Yeah.
You know? Basically,
let me just look at it.
When Paul, was it Paul? When they went to preach, was it Ephesus? The Ephesians? They took their items of witchcraft, the books, everything, and burnt it all after they got saved.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that's not where the verse is. I'm just telling you that story so people understand. This stuff is all over the Bible. You don't mess with witchcraft. You don't mess with sorcery. You don't become a sorcerer. All this stuff is in there. So why on earth are we playing this game like witchcraft is something to entertain us? You know?
Yeah.
Like it should entertain us.
Is it also dealing with the Witch of Endor? That's
another one.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Give me a second.
I mean, that's the one I think. Rebellion is a sin of witchcraft. Is that the one you're thinking of?
A good one, but I remember specifically saying exactly what I'm saying here.
All right. Let's look.
I guess one day I'll find it.
You shall not suffer a witch to live. I mean, this is everything in the King James, which has witch in it. Exodus 22:18 says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Okay, and then in Deuteronomy 18:10, "There shall not be found among you anyone that makes his son or daughter pass through the fire, uses divination or observer of times, or an enchanter or a witch." Okay, you got 1 Samuel 15:23. Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness and the iniquity and idolatry. All right, then you have 2 Kings 9:22. And that says, "And it came to pass, Joram saw Jehu." Remember Jehu? He was a fun guy. "It is peace, Jehu." And he answered, "What peace? So long as the whoredoms of my mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many." Right? So 2 Chronicles 33:6, "And he caused the children to pass through the fire of the son of Hinnom." And he observed the times, which used enchantments and used witchcraft and dealt with a familiar spirit and with wizards and wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord. You have Micah 5:12. I will cut off witchcrafts out of thine hand, and thou shalt have no more soothsayers. You got Nahum. Because of the multitude of whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft that sells the nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft.
Yeah.
And then the last one is in Galatians 5:20.
Oh, you know what? I think I said it wrong. Let me see here. I think it says magic, not witchcraft.
Okay.
It's the same, but another word for it.
Yeah, it's the same. So 5:20, Galatians 5:20 says idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, blah, blah, blah. So let's look up magic.
Magic is of the devil.
There is no word magic in the King James.
So I might have got it from NIV or something,
Yeah, let's look at the NIV.
even though I don't read that version. I'm a New King James guy.
There's the New International. There's no word magic.
Here's that helping us out.
Oh wait, all right. Here's the NIV. Keep on. All right, Isaiah 47:12. Is it the New Testament?
I believe it's old, but go ahead.
All right. So Isaiah 47:12 in the NIV says, "Keep on then with your magic spells and with your many sorceries which you have labored since childhood. Perhaps you will succeed." Yada yada yada. And we're in Ezekiel. Ezekiel 13:18 said, "This is what the sovereign Lord says: Woe to the women who sew magic charms on their wrists and make veils of various lengths for their head." Down in verse 20, "Therefore, what does the sovereign Lord says? I'm against your magic charms." So you're looking for one that says it's the devil's work, right?
Now I'm confused.
I'm confused.
I think it says magic is of the devil.
All right, let me look. Because in Acts 8:11, just says they followed him because they had amazed for a long time with his magic. And in Revelation 9:21 says they didn't repent of their murders or their magic arts or the sexual immoral content.
Yeah.
Revelation 18:23 says, "But your magic spell." It might imply that.
Yeah. I've
I
always
think it implies it here in Revelation. And it's talking about Babylon falling, yada, yada, yada. All these bad things are going to happen. Your merchants of the world, your merchants were the world's great men. By your magic spell, all the nations were led astray. And in Revelation 21:8, and those who practice magic arts. So, God, the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, and those who practice magic arts, and the idolaters, and all liars, their place is the fiery lake of fire. And the last one is 22:15, and starting 14. "Blessed are those who wash their robes, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may go into the gates of the city. Outside are the dogs who practice magic arts, the sexually immoral, the murderers, the idolaters, and everyone who loves and practices falsehood."
Well,
it definitely implies it, but it wasn't like a direct phrase.
Right. And you know what? I'm still gonna look after we finish the show. But the point here is God is stating over and over and over again, magic is not for us. It's bad.
Don't do it.
And there is a reason, because when you start to go into the occult and you practice all this stuff, your life doesn't get better.
No.
The things hanging around you don't get nicer. Let's put it that way. We can
not until after the best. Yeah.
You see in Revelation, if you could bring that up real quick, my friend Dave, where it talks about they wouldn't give up their demon worship, the worship of demons, their drug abuse, and I believe it says witchcraft.
Yep. And sorceries.
Sorcery. So What verse is that?
I think it was 21:8. Let me look. He who overcomes will inherit all this, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But, and this is a big but, the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, and those who practice magic arts, that's the NIV, the idolaters and all liars, their place will be in the fiery lake of burning sulfur.
All right.
That's the second death.
Specific.
Or did they repent of their murder?
Oh, the non-repenting? That's 9:21 then.
Go ahead.
All right, let's go there. Okay, so in 9:20, it says, the rest of mankind that were not killed by these plagues still did not repent of the work of their hands. They did not stop worshiping demons, idols of gold, silver, bronze, stone, and wood, idols that cannot see or hear or walk, nor did they repent of their murders, their magic arts, their sexual immorality, or thefts.
Right.
So, yeah, if you make that King James, it's, the sorceries there.
And that portion right there is when God's wrath is already pouring out.
Yeah, and that's after he beat the heck out of them.
Yeah. And it's like, no, we won't worship you. We like this one. You know, so it just shows you the depravity of man. I mean, a lot of people nowadays don't want to use the word evil towards humanity. It must be a person like Hitler. It must be a person like Mao Zedong or a serial killer. We're born in sin. We're all born evil. Sorry. The cute little kitty that we have and we raise, they're evil.
I mean, just look at your kid. He gets a little hungry. He screams his head off until you do what you tell him. That's what he tells you.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know, they'll talk like, oh, but people are generally good. I'm like, what?
Yeah, right. We have a form of righteousness. We do right things, but we're not holy. As God calls us to be after we're saved, we're on that way to holiness. But before that, we're not holy. You know, we do nice things.
If I wear this shirt, I'm holy.
The holy man of God right in front of you guys, right? Okay, Dave, you're old enough. I don't know if you saw this one.
Thanks,
Danny.
Well, you knew Moses, so
when I went to school, they didn't have history.
You remember the movie Oh God?
Yeah.
no.
They had one called Oh God, You Devil.
Yeah, and then Oh God 2. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I was a kid. I didn't know better, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wow, that has some crazy connotations there, right? And so what we see today, though, is more and more blasphemy right out the gate. You talked about, Danny talked about Justice League, but Batman versus Superman had more blasphemy in that movie with that trilogy, quad, whatever you call it, combined, right?
Yeah.
Because Lex Luthor, he is an allegory to a caricature of Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
So when I found that, I was like, okay, that's why he's blaspheming so much. But doesn't mean the director or the writer are innocent.
No.
They made a point to kill an allegorical figure of Jesus Christ, to try to kill him. The God man is dead, and all these things they were saying. So very fascinating stuff. How long have we gone? It's only been an hour. Seems like longer, dude.
Just over an hour.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk some more, you're welcome. I think we could push it to an hour and a half or 2 hours if people want to still watch.
Just give me a burger.
Burgers yesterday.
Want another burger?
I'll send one over to you virtually. How about that? Since that's the world.
Right. You can text it to me.
So if anyone has a question, please put it in the super chat. We'll honor it by answering it. If we can, please make it relevant to what we're talking about now. Somebody said, let me see, monkey butt toenail.
Monkey. Which is it? Is it the monkey butt or the toenail?
Witchcraft is not a joke. Yet in Adam Sandler's movies, everything was of the devil, according to his mama. Slang and quotes from movies are from or a form of witchcraft. Like some people I've heard say, witchcraft. Well, sorry, doing a spell is pretty much spelling, writing. You can influence the culture. You can move it in a certain way, and that person became a dark magician. So there it is. What Satan does, he perverts everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember, he's the father of lies, and he has like zero creative ability, and the only thing he can do is steal what God made and twist it, which was what wicked means. Wicked means twisted. That's why we get like wicker baskets.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point right there. When we think about, and you could talk on this, Dave. I know Danny, you could talk on it too. When we talk about what is the perfect language? The perfect language.
Tongues. Here on earth, Hebrew.
Boom, right? So if you're going to curse somebody out in Hebrew, you have to call them exactly what you're going to call them. But in the English language, we have all these, mother this.
Yeah, we make up new ones too all the time.
Stuff, and those are perversions of the language. And God actually, even before English came around, talked about this stuff in the New Testament, where you don't have corrupt communication coming from your mouth, unclean this. It's not what goes in; it's what comes out.
Yeah.
And many Christians are caught up in this cursing thing. It's called cursing for a reason, but it's also called profanity, profane words. They don't give you a good witness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, some people, they'll say, well, God's working on me. I mean, how long are you going to say that? 20 years?
Yeah, he's been working a long time. I guess he's not good at this.
There's one thing that's insidious. OMG.
That too, yeah.
People don't realize that you shouldn't be saying that.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like, even though, I mean, if you go the other side of that, the word God is not really his name.
True.
And which God are they talking about? Because it might not be the true and living God, creator of the universe. It might be, their Thor God or something.
But here's the thing, though. Since we're transitioning out of the Judeo-Christian, we're living in a post-Christian world. Let's just say that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Culturally, secular or Christian, we know GD or OMG is more towards a Christian thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was the root of it. Yes.
Yeah. So for people to Christians, I would say Christians, to actually still trying to use those connotations over and over again, not really having a conscience about it, it's kind of weird. Yeah,
it is. I wouldn't say it's a salvation issue, but it's certainly a hey, are you really honoring your Lord? Come on.
Right. Yeah. And guys, we're not advocates of you can lose your salvation. We don't believe that. We're just pointing out, because if you look at the early church,
I found it again. Actually, I thought I lost it. It was behind the couch.
Yeah, I know, right? The early church had many problems. And I want to go back to entertainment. Let me just say this real quick. The early church had many problems. You had people that didn't like each other. You had people that wouldn't forgive each other. You had people that stole and lied to God. Those two got taken out by the Holy Spirit. You had many issues. So God points out these issues. Why? Because they will happen. And it hasn't changed since the early church. You have people offend each other and they don't want to forgive.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times are you going to have to tell you to forgive?
Imagine how powerful a church would be if we stop arguing with each other.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've allowed over 2,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go off into this. I'll just say it really quick. so many forms of interpretations to come up, and so that causes splits within splits within splits within splits, and so out of that came a lot of what's the one when you replacement theology,
Yep.
replacement theology, weird rapture issues, and all sorts of stuff that we argue over and clash because we think everybody, I had it right, or I had it right, or no, the Bible has it right. The early church fathers had it right. And so we have to go back to that and see where the truth lies. You know, this right here that I'll say will offend a lot of people. You know,
Yep.
I plead the blood of Jesus. I mean, where do you find that in the Bible? I know I pray. I want God to answer my prayers. If I had the power to cast out spirits, I'd cast out spirits. But where does it say to plead the blood?
I think that came out. That's just like a terminology. It's like, hey, brother, we are healed, and and we're saved. His blood saved us. But that terminology, where did that come from?
Let's go back to the root. Where did that come from? And as far as I know, it's a modern term, just like a lot of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but we don't need to fight over that.
No. That's what what. When we get to heaven and it says there's 30 minutes of silence, I'm convinced that is so we can all talk to each other, and now we can get our doctrine correct.
I think.
Like, hey, listen, you guys just look. Here it is. You consider what you thought, and now here's the truth.
Yeah, and gotta fix those.
There's so much of it. It takes 30 minutes.
Right? So yeah, those are some side issues. We don't need to be fighting at all. Even when it comes to this entertainment stuff, like people get so offended, bro.
Yeah, I know. Like, who's better, Superman or like Batman?
Batman.
You see?
God made us diverse in thought, right? So some people like clams, some people like oysters. I don't like either.
I think you're abomination.
I don't like either.
I like ribeye steak.
Oh, I do like that too.
Mm.
Yeah. So let me see here. Somebody was asking a question. Well, not a question. Was that a question? I don't know. All right. It's kind of like a question statement.
A question.
How many modern songs are straight up incantations, right? And movies, scripts, etc. That is true.
100%.
But while saying that is true, why is it true? Right?
Wait, what?
Why is it true?
Why does it happen, or why is that a true statement?
Right. Why is it a true statement? Because a lot of these people admit it. They admit they quote unquote sold their soul to the devil when you can't really sell your soul to the devil. So it's kind of
they're deceived into thinking that.
Right. If you're not saved, you already belong to him. I
heard Lady Gaga said that she sold her soul and now she can't get out, and that's why she wears like meat suits and things. We pray, Father, that you would reach Lady Gaga, whatever her real name is, and show her the truth of your salvation, and then have her as a mighty witness for you.
Absolutely.
Amen.
I agree. So with what people profess, you could say, okay, that makes that statement true. The other portion is, and many people won't do this because one is a little scary for them, or that's just not their calling. When you go and read some of their writings, the occult, like Aleister Crowley and all these other people, you see that they admit that as well, right? Mm-hmm. But then you go into the area of mind control, which is a form of witchcraft, right? Mm-hmm. When you can write something to control the mind of the populace, the commercials.
Oh yeah,
other things from Hollywood. Why is it if I got to be careful with this one. Okay, if all of these alternative lifestyles were truly altruistic, you wouldn't have to make 50,000 commercials to try to convince you.
Right? You wouldn't have to force it.
Hey, Hollywood enforce it into the TV shows and the films.
Yep.
Because
I don't have to force you to believe that breathing oxygen is good.
right.
Yeah.
So then what we have also blaring out of Hollywood is the Marxist agenda, the Marxist ideas.
The Marx Brothers?
No, they were in Hollywood a long time ago, dude.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I know you knew them personally, just like Moses, but
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. So it's hard to kind of quantify how bad this is for people that haven't read, or I knew people that didn't know who Hitler was.
wait, what?
That's sad. They didn't even know Hitler.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's revisionist history.
that's why I call it a stupid phone, not a smartphone, because it has made people stupid.
Well, the thing is, some people are in neighborhoods that don't have good education programs.
True.
And
I agree.
I actually came out of one of those neighborhoods, but it wasn't as bad as the other neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Because our English teacher, he was the one that taught me how to spot symbolisms in movies. It wasn't like some conspiracy thing; it was just pointing out symbolism. And we learned some things in the history class or whatever, but they didn't teach us anything about communism.
Oh,
Anything.
I guess they didn't really know. And I guess they didn't want to look stupid.
or they
I'm
didn't
guessing.
want you to know what it was, so you couldn't see it when they bring it to you.
I think it might be like one or both.
Right. So for people to be disconnected from that history, it becomes a problem now. So that's why they'll look at the altruistic values of social justice, People's Liberation Party, and all these. It's a derivative of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that Marx was a Satanist, and the people that helped Marx to get to where they were Kabbalists and all sorts of stuff. It's hard to quantify what's coming at them.
Yeah. Interesting side note to what you're saying is the theory of evolution also is what helped Marx.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yep.
And that's totally satanic as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have and this is boiling over into the novels and the comic books and some of the video games. You can't nowadays. You can't have a superhero with some sort of evolutionary bent.
Mm-hmm.
Find one.
Yeah.
What? Maybe Batman. Maybe. Yeah.
Yep. And that goes back to you had to get that in society and build it in over a few generations so he can perpetuate this false narrative.
Yeah. They say that it took 20 years for the sexual revolution, that whole thing, to take root.
Yeah.
It's been past 20 years now. So how long would it take to reverse it? I don't think we're going to reverse it. I think we're going to have some people wake up. But for the most part, I think a lot of it's going to stay. And we're going to go into whatever God has laid out in the Bible.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of the biggest threats to family, society, education, bar none.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to recognize, Chris, that that's the whole reason of it. He wants to destroy the family because it represents God's family. Wants to destroy the marriage because it represents God's marriage. He wants to, he wants to destroy that. He said God created them male and female. Male and female, he created them, and he saw that it was good. So he has to destroy that narrative in people's minds to try and get them to say, oh, well, this guy's good, and he just got a bad rap from that big, bad, evil God.
Yeah, it's like they also destroy children's innocence when you bring it to the drag queen story hour or something like that, because Jesus said you have to be like the mind of a child in order to come to him.
Right.
Yeah, so we all know it's there. So you people, pray for your kids. Pray over them every day. Read them the word every day. Right. Even if they get ornery, just make them eat their vegetables and read them the Bible.
This to them, and then you read.
And
Boom.
definitely pay attention to what they're watching, especially on the internet.
Oh yes.
It's flooded everywhere. Okay. There was a guy on the internet the other day. A Christian lady called him for advice. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
He gives advice to men and women on how to dress and relationships and stuff like that. So I was kind of. He mentioned some church things and whatever. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think these guys are real Christian, you know? And she said something about marriage. And he had some iffy things to say about it. But he said, who invented marriage? Like it was like a man thing, a human thing. And she said, and he started laughing at her. Now, this guy professes that he taught church classes and all this stuff. And I saw him laughing. I said, did you not read Genesis?
Hello.
The institution of marriage was from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's a microcosm to realize it. We are the bride of Christ. That's exactly why God the Father did that, is to say, okay, I'm getting a bride for my son, and that's represents it. Now, us living in this, 3-dimensional plus time 4-dimensional, universe, can't understand the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th dimensions. So he has to give those analogies, parables, those types in these 3 dimensions that represent the 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, 6 dimensions, and etc. And it's basically a microcosm of what he has for us, the relationship he wants for us. So he's like, okay, well, I got this. I'm going to take a piece of Adam out of him, so he wants it back. And that is going to be our relationship.
Yeah.
That's it.
Simple. But this guy laughed her out the room, bro.
Yeah, well, he won't be laughing when he's standing before the throne.
All right. So what is the movement going on? Even though it's probably a 3-4 prong movement, right?
Yeah.
But all of it's aimed at dismembering the family.
That's right.
And for the most part, fatherlessness is the biggest issue in a lot of homes.
Yes.
And the entertainment system has pushed that a long time ago, but now it's
we've degraded and emasculated men and manhood so much through commercials and movies. There's commercials. If you look the last few years, every commercial that has a guy in it, it's a woman making fun of him for doing something stupid or something like that. Yeah. You take that away, you take the manhood away, people, they're not going to be good for a family.
Yeah, and then
they're not going to want to be part of a family. They're not going to want to be with a woman. They're not going to want to find the right woman.
And they don't know how to find the right woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The men haven't not been taught how to be men because they're not being raised by men. That's not a knock against single mothers. I was raised by a single mother. But there's a deficiency there because a man he acts a certain way with another man, right? And he's going to raise his son a certain way. A lot of these guys end up being beta males, soft, don't know how to deal with deal with relationships. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a guy; they just don't know how to act within relationships. So,
and they ride scooters to work with 2 masks on their face, even though there's no one around, and a queer bag that's sitting on the side of it. Did I just say that?
Yes, you did. But he's not joking about the 2 mask things.
I know.
In New York City, man, they're riding a bike by. Nobody's around them. There's double masks on.
But I digress.
But
sorry, we brought the thing up you didn't want to do. I'm sorry, Chris.
No magnetic skin.
I don't think they're going to take this one down for that. But this fatherless thing is a very serious issue, and I think it's one that's not pointed out enough so that people could see. It's part of the root of this whole problem we have going on now in society. You don't want the responsibility of laying with a woman, especially when she's not your wife.
Yeah.
You know, and what do we have? Women that are not guided in the right, young girls not guided in the right way, and they kind of repeat the cycle. You know, depending on the individual. You have so many people that cannot function in the world, so they stay with mommy, or they have to have a group setting. They can't move out on their own, and it's a serious problem. Another serious problem is how do I say that? The black on black crime. Okay, that's a serious problem that no one wants to talk about. Every time you bring it up, they shove it like, yeah. You talk about that later.
Yeah. Let's go to how cops are doing it every day when that's not the case.
Not the case, yeah.
But the statistical cases that's happening all the time, we won't bring up.
But who is pushing the story, whether it's fake or not, meaning made up in the sense of a dramatic play or a television show? You have the media, which is the news, and then the media, which is Hollywood, and the TV shows and some of the reality shows as well. They're pushing this whole narrative, and you see people kind of like, because they don't know better, are saying, people that look like me can't go down the street without a cop or this. I'm like, what? I don't have that experience. Every time I've been pulled over by a cop, I respected them. Okay, if you're angry,
like you're supposed to, you won't have a problem.
And that doesn't mean that there are not some bad ones out there. Of course there are, and both.
That goes in both directions.
Right.
I get a lot everywhere. I get grief once in a while from a black guy, but I don't think it's because they're black. It's just their perception of who they are and who I might be has caused that. But other than that, it's just silly.
They want you to focus on, so we stay divided. They want you to focus on the pigmentation.
But it's funny, Chris. You said something before about the media. That. I actually think that Hollywood is more real than the news media now. Because Hollywood's telling you when they're showing you movies and things like that, they're setting you up for things that are really happening in many respects. Where the news is telling you the things that aren't happening. So when it's time for the things that Hollywood's telling you,
you
don't know what's real and what's not.
Right. That's a good point, because I see the media and reality becoming blurred.
Yeah.
Even from a video game aspect. When the thing happened with George.
Yeah.
We had all these corporations capitulating to the narrative, and then PlayStation within I don't know if it was PlayStation Direct or it was Activision put up a BLM thing in Call of Duty.
Oh, really?
I didn't play it at the time, but a friend of mine told me about it. I was like, what? Are you serious?
Even in your games.
So
can't I just play a game?
Well, it's just like in the sports, in the video games, in all forms of entertainment. It's gotta be part of it so that you're driven to where they want you to be.
Absolutely.
It's social conditioning and conditioning the humans to be more robotic.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point as well, because even though we didn't necessarily try to talk about tech tonight, the idea of being more robotic is romanticized today.
Yes.
When we came up with RoboCop and Gundam and all these things from Japan or wherever, we didn't necessarily fantasize. We did to an extent, but not for it to be reality.
Yeah.
To have wires around your neck and all this stuff,
Johnny Five alive.
Johnny Five, yeah.
And all that stuff. So today it's romanticized more because, again, there's a thing called predictive programming that some people don't believe exists, right? And we've been trained so much to accept the technocratical age that's coming, based from the 1800s and the 1920s and 30s. It disappeared for a while and it came back. And so when you have movie shows like Humans, um, Black Mirror,
Yeah. Okay.
No, not the show.
No.
Yeah, it's from England.
Oh yeah.
You watch it, yeah, and they created robots to be like their servants and whatnot,
Oh.
but then they became sentient.
Oh. Oh, that's. Oh, you mean like when Facebook was doing that thing and the two computers were talking back and forth and they had no idea what was going on?
something like that,
Yeah, no.
but
No.
more than that. So Humans, Black Mirror, and a few
Yeah.
other TV shows and movies that came out. They're I would say they're kind of pushing it to a hyper realistic fashion.
Mm-hmm.
There's a show that was on Sci-Fi Channel called oh my goodness, something Scape. I'll look for it in a second. And they showed a lot of technology that was coming. There's one where Futurescape,
Futurescape.
where if you go on a date, you put this thing here, and the other person does the same thing, and immediately you switch memories, and you can see if you want to date this person or not. That's what
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, no.
yeah.
I
This
don't
is
even want some of mine.
right. So man merging with technology. People, you can read about this stuff. It's not hidden. You have Annie Jacobson's book, The Pentagon's Brain, and I have a bunch of other books on my computer here that I've read some of them, partially read some of them, where the idea of man merging with machine has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And it started growing, starting in the 40s. Started growing again in the 40s. And you had certain think tanks that wanted to merge us with AI, computer, whatever. And to think that this is not coming, it's already here.
Oh yeah.
When you have Elon Musk talking about merging us with AI, you have Mark Zuckerberg talking about type in with your mind because of, I think you're merged with AI or something like that.
Mhm. I think he's already a lizard, isn't he?
Oh, I'm not going to go there with the lizard people, okay?
Let's see if his skin is magnetic.
Yeah, but, if you start to look at all of the areas in life that artificial intelligence is going to take over. Now, remember, this is connected directly to your entertainment. That you've been seeing this for years.
Yeah.
There will be no area of life that artificial intelligence is not going to touch.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're talking about the medical field. It's already saturated, and it's going to be worse.
Actually, our supply chain, the military. I was hearing the other day. The military has used its AI to link with the supply chain to see where they need to push stuff faster. Like if something's running out, so they'll push it there versus putting it somewhere else.
So if I run out of coffee, it'll automatically be.
It'll deliver it to you through drone because all that technology.
I'm gonna
like a cup of coffee,
It's
like a
not
bag.
like that, David.
Oh,
I'm gonna show you on the screen, and this is true, but I'm not gonna say it. Okay?
All right.
You see? Can you see that?
yep.
Oh, don't say it.
Don't say it.
No, don't say it.
No, okay.
All right. So that's true. Biometrics.
Allegedly.
You have Amazon, which will have drones everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere, and they'll be able to take a package to you within 30 minutes. And you might be wondering, Chris, what's the problem with that? You're just advancing as humanity. You see, don't look at the convenience. Look other places. Because
convenience is how they sell you on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not what they plan on using it for.
Right. And it doesn't mean that all of a sudden drones are going to be, weaponized and coming after you when they deliver your package.
I think it's great for target practice with your paintball gun.
But that's what happened in this city not too long ago.
They shot down a drone with a paintball gun?
No. I'm making a joke about you using it. Sorry. Bad joke.
Yeah. But what else do we have? We have artificial intelligence making movie scores now. And they sound
like Fox music,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. They still don't have the stories right, because if you read some of the stories,
when I'm talking about scores, like musical score.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, like the written side, they still don't have.
Right.
Well, actually, they probably do. They just haven't released it to us. Yeah.
That might be true. They're writing novels, short stories, poems. Some of these artificial intelligence are quote unquote dreaming. There's an artificial intelligence using NVIDIA's prior video card set that in real time can change a video from it's snowing to summer or vice versa.
Oh wow.
There's another one. I think the same AI can take, I think it was 4 to 6 faces, and it made thousands of other faces out of those, and they all look like they would be living human beings. You can't tell that fake. You have another one that's more towards some of these artists out there, where, say for instance, I was a big artist and I died or something, and you wanted to talk to me still. They have it to where it's hyper real. It was so real to this one artist that he said, "No, you got to tone it down a little bit. It's a little too real."
Yeah,
bring it back.
I saw that with a woman who had lost her child, and they did that, and they brought the child back with the VR glasses and everything.
Yeah.
And it was the woman was like, she was breaking down, crying, trying to touch, and you could see it, trying to touch the kid and everything. And
But look at that. Look at that right there. When somebody dies, it's like they're ripped out of your soul. They ripped out of life, and so you have this connection with them. And people are so distraught because obviously they don't know what the Bible teaches. They're not, and sometimes even when they do, they get a little weird with it. That you would take a replica of this person you lost, whether it's a son, even animals too.
Yeah.
And you want that connection back so bad that you would invite the tech, right?
Yep.
And that's what's going to happen with the Antichrist. They'll be able, all this technology, every time we turn around, we kind of like, oh, I see how they would do it. And then they do it a step further. And now with this, they'll be able to project that to the whole world because it is the image of the beast.
Right.
And it has all these different things. So he's going to have the wound. He's going to appear to rise from the dead. So I think they're going to kill the real Antichrist, and then Satan will inhabit a virtual, a hologram of this guy, however they call it nowadays. And then Satan will inhabit that thing. And yeah.
Well, let's so that. Like it says, the image of the beast will be worshipped. The martyrs in Revelation 20, they didn't take the mark, they didn't worship his image or the number of his name, right?
Yeah.
And today we have technology to bring forth, even in not just a virtual world, in a physical world where you could see these fake life forms, whether it's a robot or a human, and they look lifelike or close enough to lifelike. And if the a star, a pope, or something like that, people will worship it. You know.
Yep.
So you might want to do some research on that. This show right today is not about technology, but we're drifting into it because it's pushed through your the romanticization of technology is pushed through your novels, comic books, video games, movies, whatever.
And it's all tied together.
Yeah,
it's all related.
and it's nothing new. It's nothing new because the Greeks had the big robots that were pretty much like they were living. You had Perseus that had the owl that was his guide, his spirit guide.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new. It's just now we're in an age of technology that we're kind of dumbfounded that some of these things are happening because we've been seeing it for 60 years, 80 years, whatever, however long. I think television's only been around for maybe 100 years or so, if that. So what else do we have? We have what's called, to bring context back to what you're talking about there, Dave, is augmented reality, right? If you haven't seen augmented reality, folks, just go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. It's been developing for a very long time. I've been looking at it for at least 20 years.
I got it on my phone now. I could literally walk around you and create a 3D image.
Yeah, and they have the one that actually kind of holographically comes out of the phone.
Yep.
Something else or a pad or whatever. So you have that, and the thing is, everyone knows this. Even some Buddhists or whatever, we have this inclination in our heart to worship something.
Yep.
Some people worship animals. Some people worship a tree. You know, some people worship the one true God, and they are different iterations of that, right?
Yeah, it's a God-shaped hole in your heart that people are trying to fill with other things.
Right. So some people worship their job, money, whatever it is. But when it comes to these human figures, the funny thing about television is Anton Zander LaVey said that he wouldn't let his kids watch TV. I mean, this is Satanist. Do what you will, right?
Well, I don't want that. That's bad.
Yeah. So when it comes to worshiping an idol, which the image of the beast will be, and they're it's like a reflection of what Nebuchadnezzar did.
Yep.
Nebuchadnezzar, he played the music, get you all softened up to it. Now bow down and worship the statue. And if you don't, you die. The same thing the Antichrist is going to do. But it's going to be a totally different ordeal when it comes to the mark of the beast and all this stuff. So the fact that people now want to see Tupac alive, want to see Elvis alive, want to see Michael Jackson alive. There's even say again?
There's a Nat King Cole one, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, I know.
All right, Chris, who would you want to see alive again?
Nobody.
No Babe Ruth?
Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
It's creepy.
Right. I know, right?
Yeah, that would be too like weird.
Yeah. And especially now that they're looking even more lifelike,
Yeah.
It's not far fetched to see that people will do this in the 7-year tribulation, or is that part of the Great Tribulation? The second half is the Great Tribulation. People are going to worship this thing, and we have the technology today to do it. You don't need a quantum computer that's way out there in Star Trek time, okay? You could do it right now. We already have the quantum computers to do it. We have a lot of stuff. Everything is pretty much connected now. So if you wanted to worship this thing globally, you don't have to travel to wherever to do this thing. You could project it in your home. You could use the new glasses that are coming out from Google and all these other places. You could have anywhere you're going to bow down to this beast. Or not beast, but statue of the beast. So I just wanted to say that so people can understand the things, the nuances that they don't really understand what's going on right now. Not they in totality, but the people that just don't know.
Yep.
This technology is here. You're not seeing it because it's not commonplace. It's not released totally to the public yet, but there are different companies work. And when I say the technology, I don't mean the image of the beast. I just mean that the technology that leads to that. All of that stuff is pretty much here in some form or another. Sometime it'll be an amalgamation of two different companies making something that you could worship. You know, look at the Buddhists. They have the robot. What is it, priest? Do they even call him priest?
I don't know.
No, I don't know what they call them, but
I don't
there
even
was
know
a
what you're
robot
talking about.
one.
It's a robot, whatever they call them in the Buddhist field. They actually sit there and chat with it, and it gives them advice.
Oh wow!
Do you have to put a quarter in the machine and he goes like this, or how's that work?
I don't know, but it's freaky. Okay,
Yeah.
you have, I believe,
Well, Sophia. Look at Sophia.
Sophia.
That's dreamy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Sophia. Oh, this is cool in a sense of like it's kind of crazy. It's happening. Sophia, the first one, has now been replicated, copied into other Sophias.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
we know that soon. Well, they're already doing it. Certain machines are already making replicas of themselves. Just like
boy.
yeah.
See, they told us that in Terminator.
Yeah.
Anything I'm saying on this program, guys, girls,
It's 100% true.
you can
Too
go.
bad for you.
You can go look for it. I'm not going to freak you out and get you scared. We shouldn't be scared. If you're Christian, you shouldn't be scared. But the problem is, technology bores a lot of people because they can't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Nerds and not geeks, whatever. They have nanotechnology that can make buildings.
Wow. Or they can change cells around from people and they can stick it into your body with a certain device. I mean, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for saying stop.
I'm just allegedly.
Look up this. I would have had the article, but we didn't. We just did this off the cuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Look up where they have synthetic DNA, and they have also microcomputers. I mean, stuff you can't see with your eye that can go. It's like a fluid or something. Can't remember but I saw that a couple years ago. If we're building this stuff, isn't it not going to come out in society one day?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only reason to build it. And it's all been told before, because Wesley had his spirit animal on Star Trek, and then Data talked to those nanobots, right? Mm-hmm. And they finally learned to communicate because they spoke in binary, but Data translated it.
Right. And
radio was fluid in 6 million forms of communication.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
So the thing isn't, is it possible? It's when can we expect it? In 2015, we did the documentary about artificial intelligence and drones. And back then, we were talking about the private sector and the police and everybody getting these drones to stop riots or whatever. What have they been doing? What have they been doing for the last 2 years? They've been using these drones. They use drones in the crown sickness.
Yeah.
Robots over to Singapore for a test to see how we can make you separate from each other.
Yeah.
Right? So it's here already. Again, it's just commonplace. I think I talked about this on the show or another show before, where the Avengers.
Yep.
The helicarrier.
Yeah.
We're building those, and we're not just. We are building them, and this was on the news, so don't say I'm crazy.
Well, you're crazy anyway, but it was on the news. Yes.
it was on the news, and what they plan to do is deploy drone swarms from them.
Oh, very nice.
Right, and we already have drone swarms, but in I think it was Age of Ultron, where they had the helicarrier come and the drones came out to rescue people from the city Sokovia.
Yeah,
sort of like that. So Project Insight might not just be from the comics.
Mm-hmm.
For those that know what Project Insight is, you have drone sharks.
drone shark.
Like sharks that are drones.
No,
Yes.
like sharks. They look just like sharks, but they're drones. And they're not metal. Well, they of course they're metal, but they don't look like they're metal. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, they got like a skin on the top.
Drone boats. They are just drone trucks that are on the road already. We call them self-driving trucks. Uber has a stake in self-driving taxis. Some company bought out Uber. I can't remember who it was. So you have that not coming. It's already here.
Yep.
If they can have most of the cars on the road being self-driving, then there's governance over that, and it won't be us anymore.
Right.
Mhm.
So you have to ask yourself, why? Okay, so back in I think 2018, I started telling people about universal basic income, but I didn't say it I think I said it a couple times on my show, but I didn't make it a big deal. But on Facebook, I tried to make it a big deal. But now, after the crown sickness, we have the push for universal basic income.
Yep.
Called welfare.
Weren't they like previewing that? That's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
They were
Testing it in Oakland.
I'm not sure,
I thought I read.
but I know that the EU was talking about it back in 2018.
Yeah.
I said,
Klaus Schwab is probably in his glory.
huh?
Klaus Schwab is probably in his glory.
Oh yeah.
The head of the World Monetary.
And for those of you that haven't read The Great Reset, please do that. Yes, Graham. I was just about to bring that up. The social credit score. That is, I don't get people ignoring this.
And it's no joke. Like, if you don't have a good enough social credit score, you can't travel in China.
Yeah. And there's another credit system. I can't remember the name. Sorry. That's underneath our regular credit score system. And most people know about it. I got to forget the name again. But all of this tied in when the world finally goes where it's going to go. I heard from a reliable source that the Caribbean, I'm not sure if it's all, but at least most are going cashless by 2022, January.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't believe that when I heard it. But that shows you the influence from the EU and other places. So you see the biometrics coming, you see the credit score coming, you see them pushing for universal
basic
income, right?
Yep. The other big thing that's coming is no private ownership.
Absolutely. You see them pushing, incentivizing laziness, right? Because tell the truth. If you are a person that only makes $20,000 a year or $25,000 a year, and somebody says, "I'll give you $1,500 a week," not a week, but a month, you probably take it.
Yeah,
that's actually happened. I mean, there's so many people in New York City, and then I can't tell you how many stores have the help wanted signs, and they said the people won't come back. Even at one of my doctor's offices, a big old doctor in Manhattan, he's like, "Where's the old crew?" And they're like, "No one came back because they were making more money staying home from work than they would make if they came to work."
Yeah,
and it's like, well, who wouldn't do that?
There you go.
So instead of scaring everybody, though, let me say this, because we are coming up close to the twilight hour.
Yes, we are.
All these things that are happening, we see them coming to pass. And I like to say, as you know, Chris, when you see the Christmas decorations go up, Thanksgiving is around the corner. Because before all of these things are fully implemented, we do have the rapture. Because the church being here is, in essence, the restrainer, because the Holy Spirit is within us. And that would be in 2 Thessalonians 2:7. Says, for the mystery of lawlessness is already at work, but the one now restraining will do so until he is out of the way. So the Holy Spirit being within the born again believers is here, and it's putting that lid on all of these things. So we see them happening, we see the bubbling coming, but then all of a sudden when we go, bam, we come off the lid, and now comes the abyss, and all the locusts coming out with scorpion tails, and we see all that coming out because the lid comes off because we're not restraining it anymore.
Right.
So while we are here, our job is to harvest. Our job is not to convince people of things, but to find those who are terrified and tell them the truth so they can change and come with us to the heavenly banquet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whether you get raptured or you pass, because your life was determined to pass before that event, you got to have hope and understand what the Bible teaches, so that when you are confronted with a person that's scared or a person that wants to know God, but they think he's something different than what the Bible says, you'll be equipped. This information right here that we talked about tonight, just equipping you to have conversations. It doesn't supersede the Bible. The Bible is that's the foundation. And what we saw happen, what I've been seeing happen for the last 20 years, my goodness, I could talk forever on that stuff. But what happened specifically from November 2019 to the month we're in now, May, it's something that I saw a glimpse in November, and that is a jab that would change your DNA. November 2019. Yep. And then this thing hits, and I can't believe everything that's been going on. I mean, I've seen the world just act like morons. Some people are strong and faithful and all this other stuff, but other people are like, what are you doing? Right? And so what it shows you is the spiritual, the world is spiritually is ready for what comes next. No matter if it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now, they're ready. And there's all sorts of ingredients with that. But the only hope we have is in Jesus Christ. Not in your elected official, not in your knowledge, not in your power to fight back, not in a firearm. Jesus Christ, because everything else is just an ingredient in a fallen world.
Salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven by which we must be saved.
Absolutely. So we're almost at 2 hours. We have under 2 minutes left. Anybody want to give a gospel message? Now's the time. Any of you guys? I always do it.
Oh, ready, go. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. The crux of the matter is Jesus is in charge 100%. Okay, even though all these things are happening, it is only him who lets it happen. We see that, he let it happen earlier. And when, like you see Job, Satan came and said, hey, can I, Job's horrible. He only worships you because you treat him well. And he says, but can I do this to him? Well, you can do this, but you can't do that. All right. You see it. So he orchestrates it. He orchestrates it with Peter. Jesus comes up to Peter and says, Satan came up and he asked if he can sift you like wheat. And Peter's like, You didn't tell him yes, did you? He's like, oh, yeah, I did, actually. Yeah, but it's going to be good. It's going to be all for my glory. And this is at the same time now, you know, even Jesus on the cross, he says, you don't take my life. I'm laying my life down. And all these things are because he's a just God. And being a just God, he has to have evidence and an action that warrants his judgment. So he has to let all these things play out in order to be the proper judge to judge all these things. It also tests everybody. Remember, the road is narrow, okay? And he has to test them just like he did in John chapter 6. He told people, these are hard sayings, and all these people left. Are you going to leave too? And it's a test to see where you stand with him, because he only wants people who stand with him to be with him for eternity. You want some wishy-washy guy who says, I don't know about this Jesus thing, and with you for eternity? That doesn't make any sense. So he is a creator of the universe. He orchestrates everything, and the devil still is under the authority of God. Okay, he doesn't make up his own rules and just do this. It's not a surprise to Jesus. Jesus rules the universe, and he's doing all these things on purpose. You need to worship him and him alone. And trust me, when this is all done, you'll be very glad you did.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to make it like it's a hard thing to do. It's actually it's the simplest, easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
You just believe on him, realize that he is the Savior. His very name, Yeshua, means salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. His very name means salvation. Mm-hmm. You realize he's your Savior, and that his Father brought him back from the dead on the third day. Mm-hmm. And you're there, and the Holy Spirit. I'm getting goosebumps right now. The Holy Spirit comes. He comes to you, and he comes in. He comes to you, and he's inside of you, living with you now. If you do that, and the Bible says today is the day of salvation.
Today. When the Holy Spirit moves on you, you have to react. Yeah. There's nothing else that's going to convince you. Not our words. The Holy Spirit's going to move. And then you're going to realize that Jesus Christ is God. He said he's the way, the truth, and the life. Right? There's no other way to God but through him. And here's the thing, just to kind of wrap it up. A lot of you out there are thinking you've gone too far. There's no hope for you. Anything that you've done, anything, it will wash those sins away.
Yep.
And your future sins. And the sins that you don't even know about.
Yep.
So today is the day. And turn to Jesus Christ while you still have a chance. Don't forget to check us out on dontletthemburn.com. Check out our merch on teespring.com. If you have any questions, you can write us. You have David. He's from The Hidden Day.
What? Oh, from New York. No, thehiddenday.com or thehiddenday@protonmail.com. You can email me.
Absolutely. And Danny has Danny's Corner, which is on The Hidden Day. So this was a great conversation. And we just want you guys, don't be scared, have faith. And we know the specter of all these things and communism and stuff is over us, but we have a job to do, and we need to stay vigilant and brave. So till next time, preach the gospel and don't let them burn.